Hello, reality fans! Here's what's coming up on 90 Day Fiancé Unfiltered. Tigerlily announces it's over with Adnan and says fans who want the details have to pay. Darcey's past relationships ended over stakes and her weight, but you will not believe what sparked the end with Georgi just days ago. Plus, more cast updates, green cards, baby births, and a wild cheating accusation. I have news, cast updates, and recaps from this week's new episodes of The Other Way, Happily Ever After, and 90 Day Diaries, straight ahead. Yes, I did watch this week's premiere of 90 Day Diaries so that you all don't have to. I know it isn't your favorite, but there was some actual tea spilled on this episode, so we will definitely get into that. Meanwhile, I feel like Happily Ever After and The Other Way were especially heart-wrenching this week. It's kind of like us fans just cannot get a break from the drama. So much happened off camera as well, so let's jump into some news of the week with some not so happily ever after breakups. Okay, two couples who we have seen on our TVs in just the last few weeks announcing that it is over. Let's start with the Tigerlily post that just about broke the internet just a few days ago. She posted this photo, a beautiful wedding picture with Adnan that has a big white break line between it. She posted this on her Instagram and said, 2 years ago today, I stood here in this dress believing it was forever. Love doesn't conquer all. Forever can't survive without unity, safety, and trust. I walk forward with peace, my children, and the new blessing I quietly carry. What? Tigerlily is making it sound like she and Adnan are getting divorced and like she is pregnant with his second child. Could this be about religion? A couple weeks ago, I showed you the video that TLC posted of the two of them celebrating their baby Zayn's first birthday, where Tigerlily was dressed head to toe like a Muslim woman. So could that be what this is all about? Is it about the disrespect that Adnan shows her and everyone else on a daily basis? Could it be perhaps that Adnan is facing deportation for some reason or another? That's a storyline we've seen play out before. Just last week, these two were on vacation together with Zayn. They were playing on the beach. They were having mom and dad time playing games. And Tigerlily was shouting out this beautiful tropical resort that they stayed at. That was just last week. So what happened between then and now? When she reposted that to stories, she followed it up with this: an offer for fans to subscribe to more content on her account. For $9.99, Tigerlily says you can get some exclusive content, behind the scenes stuff from her, shout outs. She even promises maybe some in-person events coming up. But really, she's saying here, if you want the details of our breakup, you gotta pay $10 for it. Now, I respect the hustle, but is it working out for her? Tigerlily claims her post about their breakup has already been seen over 10 million times. So, cha-ching, you would think that that would directly relate into money into her pocket with this subscription, which Instagram says currently has 25 subscribers. So that is the same number of subscribers as yesterday when I checked, and by all accounts that would mean that Tigerlily has made about $250 on this huge announcement. So are we buying it? She is very careful not to say we are breaking up, we are getting divorced. This seems like more Jasmine style clickbait. She hasn't posted anything since, and this was just 3 or 4 days ago, and this has been picked up wildly by bloggers and other people who do what I do on the internet. But I had to give you guys the full story, let you know that yes, she posted this supposed split, but also followed it up with, hey, give me $10 of your money and I'll tell you the truth. So I think I'm telling you the truth here with some free content, in that there is probably no trouble in paradise between Tigerlily and Adnan, but with them being on what I've been calling on pause from the show, which I think has to do with his online behavior and the fan reaction to when they were on the tell-all many months ago, this is probably all that Tigerlily and Adnan can do right now. They're still bound by their NDA and they got to make their money. So what do you guys think about this kind kind of clickbaity side hustle? Do you not blame the cast for wanting to make some cash off the clickbait and off of people wanting such salacious news from them? Or is this just a big old waste of our time? I think the fact that only 25 people have subscribed to her exclusive content lets us know that most fans are not buying it. But they are not the only happily ever after couple whose relationship imploded on Instagram this week. Now, I know that Darcey has also had some accusations of this clickbaity relationship stuff online, but a lot of times when Darcey exposes her relationship issues on Instagram or on social media, it turns out to be real turmoil between the two of them. And I think that they are sort of on the edge of a cliff a lot of the times, Darcey and Georgi, just from what we've seen on camera. So here's what went down this week off camera for Darcey's birthday. Georgi posted a beautiful photo of the two of them and said to his wife, "Happy birthday to my beautiful queen at Darcey Silva, crown emoji, heart emoji, love you endlessly. The best is yet to come. You're not even halfway there." High five, prayer hand, star love, heart eyes, all the emojis. Two things here. Why would he indicate that she's halfway there, not only telling the world that she's in her 50s, but also assuming that she's gonna die at 100 or sooner? You know, people live to be about 110, 115 these days. Let's not put Darcey in the ground. Okay, Georgi, but that was not Darcey's problem with this post. You will not believe how his wife responded to this gushing happy birthday. She said, "Take me off your Instagram. I don't wish to be on your social media. Don't wish to be used anymore." The words of a social media queen. Is this just a response to what we saw on the show this week of the huge argument that ensued when they were getting ready to leave Bulgaria? Or is something going down in real life here? I would certainly imagine that something like a birthday would trigger the same sort of issues. Georgi using Darcey's money maybe to get her a gift or take her out, or does he have his own money and where did that come from and are you hiding it? Does he care about her birthday at all? Do they really live their day-to-day together? These are all questions we have that this Instagram drama sort of clues us into a little bit. So we are always trying to figure out what's really going on between the two of them. They've been married for a couple years now. And even that is just a surprise. But I think the difference in what Darcey does on social media compared to like what Jasmine does on social media is that Darcey really feels it. Whether she is playing things up for the cameras or a storyline or not, she's really putting herself through that. We've seen it, right? I mentioned the stakes and Tom's weight comment earlier in the show. It's like she has been through it and she is not just doing it for the cameras. She is living her life and she has got this man who is probably not really pulling his weight and who not only she but her family and all the rest of us watching have questioned for years whether he is using her or not. This seems to be her putting her foot down and saying, "Stop using me on your social media. Perhaps stop using me on the show. I guess we will have to wait and see." Let's not forget the happily ever after tell-all has not yet been filmed for this season. So I would certainly hope that with all this drama going down between Darcey and Georgi that they get to that soon so that it's not another incident that happened just on social media and leaves fans in the dark. We have got to know what's going on in real time. And I appreciate Darcey trying to clue us in a little bit, but the show has to catch up. Otherwise, we're going to lose interest. And I'm personally always rooting for Darcey to have lasting love. That seems like that's all she's ever wanted, whether it's with Georgi or not. I'm gonna keep watching. Just like we watched Happily Ever After this week, let's jump into a recap. We did see Darcey and Georgi walking over hot coals in order to have the sun gods smile down on them to bring them some prosperity and good luck, and yet all they got was some turmoil. This was a pretty gnarly argument that ended up going down between the two of them. Stacey and Florian got involved as well, and I 100% agreed with Stacey that Georgi should want to build something in Miami with Darcey. Now, I always work under the assumption that none none of these reality stars have money. Not only have a lot of them been caught in lies regarding their finances, but I understand, I think better than the usual person, that they do not get paid. I've worked behind the scenes. I've signed one of these reality TV contracts way back in the day. I know that they are not getting paid what people assume they are just because they are on a huge show. Just because the network's making money doesn't mean that they are. And it costs money to be on these shows. Look at the way that Darcey always looks high fashion, gorgeous, amazing. She's got the best clothes. That costs money. It's just like the Real Housewives you always hear too are going broke to buy their outfits, and that a lot of them are wearing knockoffs and such. It's because of the expectations there are. So when Georgi starts talking about, you don't have no money, he says, Stacey too, you don't have no money. Zero, you're always broke, spending all your money on clothes. He sounds so disgusted, but really he has no problem being along for the ride, looking great on reality TV. So we just have to fill in some of the blanks here. And what I really didn't like about this whole conversation is that when you're getting that personal, obviously if you would say something like that about someone that you're supposedly in love with, your wife who you love, when you are talking about finances, you're talking about yourself too, number one, and you're also talking about their children, not just Darcey and her daughters, but Stacey has sons too. And so when you are kind of pulling the curtain back on the lifestyle, on the day-to-day, that is affecting their children too. That's what I hated the most about this from Georgi. Like, calling someone broke, that's the line to me. You don't care about that person then, and you don't care about what flack this was going to bring to her on the internet. Not only that, but the whole idea that they were going to leave for the airport separately when they undoubtedly were on the same flight and probably seats right next to each other is ridiculous. Fans have gotten pretty savvy at this point, and I was just sort of laughing at that fact while they were making a big drama out of calling two cabs and the whole thing. I am surprised that Georgi didn't just lie to his sister. They finally all got to meet Darcey. There was this beautiful ceremony, an anniversary wedding celebration where everyone seemed to be really impressed by Darcey. Georgi really put on a show of doting on her. And if I was their family there, I would have left that party with a positive impression of their relationship. So the fact that Georgi was willing to kind of ruin all that and really clue his sister into what was actually going on was a surprise to me. When you haven't even seen your family in that many years, I would just think he would want to play it off like everything's great. He's the reality star, he's got the money, he's got the wife, and he's got the happiness. So Georgi being honest with his sister about he and Darcey's real issues made me believe that he is maybe planning an escape to Bulgaria, at least for a little while, or maybe he's planning to flee back there. He's setting the tone with the family of like, I can't live like this. And now, of course, we know the current status of their relationship seems just as touch and go as it was in this scene, which was filmed many months ago. The timing this season on Happily Ever After is easy to pin down because of Jasmine's pregnancy. We can sort of keep track of everything. Her and Matt had a huge episode this week with her really opening up about her childhood for the first time. She talked about when she was 3 years old, being left by her father. And I think that made a lot of fans, us couch therapists go, oh, that's why you gotta have a man all the time. That's why attention from men means so much to you. And that's kind of rude for us to speculate, of course, but that's what we were doing. We were also judging Matt's weird explanation that you can't have a girl first because the firstborn needs to be like a bodyguard for the rest of the children. Matt grew up in a tough neighborhood in the 80s, apparently. And I think that whole excuse was just him covering his butt because he knew that his reaction to having a girl was disgusting. And so he's made up this nonsensical reason why he had to react that way. Something that Jasmine said to Matt that really stood out to me though, is when she was like, the baby feels everything that I feel. That makes so much sense to me. I've never been pregnant, but Jasmine has. She has this experience. And I have heard other pregnant women say that when they have big emotions, the baby is responding too. So it only makes sense that it can sense her anger and her upsetness. I agree with Jasmine that Matt should be very careful about how he treats her at this time. He seemed to think that whole thing was ridiculous. I know I have some pregnant moms and some women who have had children out there listening and watching because you all had a lot to say about my criticism of Jasmine's vegan diet while she she was pregnant last week, so I know you all are listening, and I want to thank you for sharing your experiences. So please weigh in on this too. Was baby Matilda hearing Matt's rejection inside there? Well, you know who feels the most rejected? Not even rejected, but downright violated in all of this is Gino's uncle Marco, who is, of course, a lovable character, but I just want to take a moment here to remind you all to please never grab anything, no matter how cheese crazy you are, out of a restaurant server's hands. Please, if he would have done that to me back in my Saddle Ranch days, he would have gotten backhanded, and then I would have called security that we had there and been like, this man, take him out of here. But I digress, so we got to give him some grace here because Uncle Marco was really crushed. He said at hearing that Jasmine was pregnant. I found his reaction and his tears really more genuine than Gino's when he cried. And at this point, seeing Marco's big shock and upsetness versus Gino, who has clearly had a little time to let it sink in at this point, and we're all questioning how much did he care anyway, the juxtaposition of the two of them, it really made Gino seem like he couldn't care less that all of this was going on. Meanwhile, Uncle Marco came across as so real in these moments, and it really made Gino's scene of sitting by himself at the computer, adding up every penny he's ever spent on Jasmine, feel a little less real. So Gino writes this final goodbye, and he has kept track of every penny that he spent on Jasmine's green card, on her travel, on their wedding, which he's going to ask her to pay him back for in the future. I mean, we are not behind Jasmine on a lot, but I don't think anyone will agree that she owes Gino half the money for their wedding. And while Gino has got his whole spreadsheet filled out, he's got the mathin', he can add up every single penny he spent on Jasmine, he still has no timeline or evidence or clear explanation of how or when she was supposedly cheating on him with Matt or anyone else. His tone is just a little bit too threatening and too empowered for someone who really had their own part in all of this. I look at Jasmine and Gino's breakup as being pretty much about 50-50. He's in the wrong too, and he's just coming off a little bit too self-righteous here, especially in the preview for next week. But I'm really glad that Jasmine and Gino are giving us all this, whether you guys are exhausted from the drama or not, because the storyline between what I'm calling the OG3 couples, Lauren and Alexi, Elizabeth and Andre, and Yara and Jovi, it just really isn't giving us a whole lot. Yes, Lake Placid is beautiful, gorgeous. I wasn't expecting that. But all that scenery made me wonder was just whether TLC was being paid to bring the cast there and to show it off. It was almost like a commercial for Lake Placid Village or whatever they call that gorgeous place. And I think, especially if this was supposed to be its own series, that would have been a multiple episode arc, I'm guessing, and the resort would have gotten a lot of promo out of this. They still did, and I'm sure I'm not the only one whose eyebrows were kind of raised like, ooh, maybe that's a place that we should go visit. But so it just makes sense that when you're getting that much promo, that perhaps the resort offered more to TLC and Sharp Entertainment than just a few free rooms for the cast and the crew. Perhaps they paid for such a in-episode commercial. Jovi didn't have the best time there though on those first couple nights. Jovi just sort of always finds a way to remind us that he is your typical dumbass. I say that with love. It feels like Jovi learned how to be a husband from 90s sitcoms. Perhaps he's kind of in the right age range, and that might be what he grew up watching, was Tim on Tool Time, grunting, and there was just that whole idea in the 90s of the idiot husband and the bee wife. And it just feels like Jovi is just always thinks that that's what he should play out on camera, is that kind of old stereotype about marriage. And he certainly fumbled this week on the episode. I did not blame Yara for being upset with him. And just how do you not know not to say that is just my only question. Come on, bro. But that whole storyline with the three OG couples is just not giving us much. Let's look at what will be on next week's episode of Happily Ever After. So Elizabeth and Andre will arrive in Lake Placid. Maybe they'll spice things up a little bit. We shall see. Julia will return from New York City to reveal her decision to Brandon. Again, this seems like more dramatization of not a whole lot going down between the two of them. We just have to get to her pregnancy announcement, which I'm sure is coming up soon. Darcey will confront Georgi about whether he wants a divorce or not, and Georgi just sounds tired and sort of over it in the preview clip that they play. So I'm really wondering how hot that's going to get between the two of them, because he seems like he's the one who's over it at that point. Meanwhile, Gino will accuse Jasmine of marriage fraud, and he will claim that he already went to immigration to report her. She responds to this by bawling her eyes out. She's hugely pregnant at the time, and I just think that is going to be very tough to watch. We will perhaps be sympathizing with Jasmine next week. Shocking, I know, but we'll have to wait and see. So what about 90 Day Diaries, which premiered just this last Friday with the first episode? I saw the reaction, kind of a lot of groaning amongst fans. It seems that people don't feel like they get a whole lot out of 90 Day Diaries. And you know what? I really don't blame you all, because just the whole premise of the show, that they are being recorded without a production crew, is just so silly. It's very clear to me watching the show that some of the camera angles, sometimes there is at least one professional cameraman there from the production company. There may be at least a producer there with a camera or whatever it is. There is no way that they are just recording all of that themselves. I think a lot of what we're seeing is them recording themselves, but it's also the car cameras that they have set up, or it's moments when I think they are being filmed by a full crew for one of the other shows, or just in general, and then to see which show it's gonna land on. But there are some moments that they can't be recorded. In the car, they have the special cameras, or Yara and Jovi were just coming out of the courthouse in this premiere episode. So I think it's things like that where there can't be cameras there, that they have the couples filming themselves, and then they can throw that stuff on 90 Day Diaries and just give us a whole nother hour of entertainment every week with very little effort. So again, I don't blame you guys, but there was some juice this week on the first episode. Colt and Cortney, we all have been salivating to know what went down between the two of them. Last week, Colt's new girlfriend took him Instagram official with that picture of him kissing her. He's been in Brazil for weeks. We knew how this would end. But especially on this episode, she's talking about it, how he's talking to other women, especially other women in Brazil. She has the right concerns throughout the time when their relationship started, when they were on Hunt for Love, which if you didn't watch, go back and play it again. It'll be like a fun thing to do for the weekend. You'll enjoy it. And you have to see how Colt and Cortney's relationship really progressed, mostly because he got injured there and she was taking care of him. So of course he's texting other women. Of course he's cheating. Of course he ends up in Brazil, because that is what has happened in every single one of his relationships. This is what the fourth woman that we've seen him on TV with, and now his new Brazilian girlfriend is the fourth out of the fifth new Brazilian girlfriend. The reason why it's going to be interesting to watch Colt and Cortney's relationship play out, even though we know how it ends, is because I'm shocked that Cortney could be so dumb. She has said a million times she knew all his exes. She was talking to them. There wasn't a great reaction when she announced their relationship. She knew exactly what she was in for, and I just hope that there's something we see where he was showing her. She claimed on the Hunt for Love tell-all that he got a new phone and erased all the other women from his life. So I hope we get to see some of that. Was he really trying? Was he different? Has Colt grown? And how did the whole messy end go down? While I was enjoying watching what went down between when they left Tulum before the breakup, when they got to that hotel sex scene where Colt and Cortney leave her parents' house for a little getaway to like get it in, that was too much. Then I changed my mind. I was like, oh, okay, nope, now we saw enough Colt and Cortney and we can move on. Which they did on 90 Day Diaries. We also saw a scene between Yara and Jovi, which was a surprise because they have a totally different storyline playing out on Happily Ever After right now. So the producers have to be careful about that kind of stuff. But this was about Yara getting her green card, which she did in the episode. Congratulations to her. And she was also explaining about how her country is at war, obviously Ukraine, and that the apartment that she lived in has already been bombed. So when she's thinking about taking the big test and going in for this meeting where they will decide if she gets a green card or not and gets to stay in the country with her husband and her daughter, that is the other side of her reality. That's what she would be going back to. So that's certainly interesting and a big part of Yara and Jovi's story and something that we had to know happened. But to watch it all play out, it was kind of funny and entertaining. There was one more couple that was featured on 90 Day Diaries this week. It was Anny and Robert, who are fan favorites. They had a very scary moment when she was delivering their baby, but they ended up with a healthy baby boy. We've been on the journey with them when they lost their baby boy a few years ago. And so to see the birth and to see a healthy mom go home with a healthy baby and meet the other kids, their family being so excited and happy, was really a great happy ending to 90 Day Diaries. And then they played what's going to be upcoming. It sounded like this season, not necessarily that we are going to be seeing these things play out next week. Thais will tell her friends that Patrick is paranoid that she is cheating if they don't have sex every day. This is the wild cheating accusation I was talking about earlier. Patrick and Thais haven't shown us a ton of drama. Producers kind of moved on to his brother and his fiance and them having a baby, and that's what's going to play out on 90 Day Diaries this season as well. But I've wanted to know more about what goes on in Patrick and Thais' relationship because she is very outspoken, obviously, and he seems pretty insecure. So to hear from her that if she's not down to do it every single day, he assumes that she's doing it with somebody else is ridiculous. I think we're going to get to know a side of Patrick that we are not going to like. And Thais has been someone who has not been super in high favor with fans, but I think she's likable. She is doing the most on social media in a good way, not an annoying clickbaity way. This could sort of be the turn, I think, for them as a couple and their popularity in the 90 Day Fiancé universe. So keep an eye out for Thais and Patrick on 90 Day Diaries. What about Chantel and Ashley? We are finally going to see Chantel with her new girlfriend. Ashley, on the scene that they show, she has a big question for Ashley. And of course, they revealed on the Hunt for Love tell-all that they had moved in together. So I'm assuming that that will be the question that Chantel has. There's a few more things. Liz, we all know she was on this ovarian cancer journey, which she is now clear of cancer, but we are going to watch her get her treatment and really struggle through her health stuff. She also just got engaged a few months ago. I just dropped a video about this on my channel that covers the before the 90 Day couples. So Liz is in there as being part of Ed's story, and I told you that she was just recently engaged, but that Liz couldn't talk about her engagement because she is still under contract with TLC, probably because of this appearance on 90 Day Diaries. And we have not yet met the guy that she is engaged to. It isn't the man that she was with right after Ed named Jason. It's a new guy. So maybe not just her seeing her struggle through cancer, but maybe also see a big happy ending for Liz if they filmed this proposal. Emily and Kobe are going to fight over parenting on 90 Day Diaries. And we will also get to see another couple for the first time, Tim's ex Veronica, who we most recently saw on the Hunt for Love tell-all as well. She was talking about how her eyes looked all puffy on there because she had a fight with her boyfriend the night before. So that would be Seth, who we have never seen her with on the show before. This 90 Day Diaries will be the first appearance, and they are going to have some drama about whether or not to have kids. They're recently engaged as well, so wondering if that'll be the finale. One more cast member we will see on this season is Natalie, who will be getting a nose job. They like to throw her in there because Natalie makes us all talk, and I'm guessing that's what we're going to do. So when Natalie's going to be on 90 Day Diaries, I'll let you all know, and then I assume that you're going to want to tune in. Until then, I'll keep watching it so you don't have to. I do assume that you tuned into the brand new episode of The Other Way that aired last night. Let's talk about Jenny and Sumit. They weren't on last night's episode, but this last week they were spotted in the UK by several fans. Everyone's got pictures. They were talking about running into Jenny and Sumit in the United Kingdom. There was a lot of speculation. If they're so broke, what are they doing on vacation? There were photos of them shopping and enjoying some other things. So fans were really like, what's going on here? Well, I want to point out that Jenny and Sumit could be there doing some press doing UK press to air in the UK, but they could have been doing press that would air in America for the current season of The Other Way. I'm not sure when it does start to air around the rest of the world, but they could either be banking interviews with other outlets, or they could have been there promoting themselves, or 90 Day or whatever it is, or they could be on vacation, in which case it's clear that they aren't broke. This move-in with the family is probably just for cameras, and nobody could be dumb enough to count on this cafe plan that they have to make any money. The sightings in the UK this week of them just solidified all of that for us. So we're going to keep our eye on Jenny and Sumit, who will be back next week. But Luke showed up out of nowhere to surprise Madeleine. We also met Madeleine's mom, Sandra. Sandra with her braces. I would have guessed that Sandra was in her early 20s, if that. The same age as Madeleine is what Sandra looks like. So when they're talking about their relationship and Madeleine explains that her mom was gone a lot working when she was growing up, it gives us some perspective and helps us to understand maybe why Madeleine is a little immature, why Madeleine doesn't really seem to know how to behave like an adult. Her mom clearly had her when she was very young and came across as sort of a young, cool mom. Madeleine even mentioned the two of them going out together. So this is all very understandable. What I did not understand is, how can you not hug your fiancé that you have not seen in months that you are about to get married to? How are you just not so bursting with joy and relief at being within hugging distance of this person that you can do nothing but leap out of your chair and grab them? I just don't understand that. I spent a ton of time away from my husband too, and no matter what goes down in that time, because it is difficult, you just want to hug. And the fact that she wanted more to perform for the cameras, act pissed off, and even say to him like, "No, I'm not happy you're here," that says a lot about their relationship. Luke also saying when they were meeting with the wedding planner that he knew this would happen regarding the money that he sent to her for the wedding also tells us a lot. These two are just so immature. They clearly don't communicate. I still don't understand why they're even getting married when they have these issues and don't seem to like each other that much. And if all Madeleine can do is eat some sort of nut butter from a jar with her finger like a child while they are trying to work it out, I doubt that they are going to be able to do that. So you guys really got to tell me what you thought about this. Did Madeleine steal the money? Was Luke lying about ever sending it in the first place? Are they just a hot mess together? Should they hire a financial planner? I think that might be the best. You don't have a lot of money, but to spend a little bit on someone who can help you figure this stuff out. So do we hope that they can get it together even and get married? I don't know. Do they really want it to get together and get married? Madeleine is all about this beautiful, glamorous ceremony with helicopters and flowers and the whole thing, but she's got to know that something's going to happen after that. After the whole ceremony, you have to have a marriage, and it certainly seems like these two do not have the foundation for that at this point. Johny and Chloe's foundation seems a little bit rocky too. They were just giving us more of the same this week. Her being annoying, him being kind of awesome. And at this point, I'm blaming the producers for making it boring, just giving us more of her being annoying. It's just too much. Like, you got to give us something else. If nothing's going to happen in their storyline, I'm not entirely sure why we're seeing it at all. This feels like it should have been on Love in Paradise. And there's just some reason why producers are so adamant that we had to meet Johny. It might still have to do with that Tanya connection, but I highly doubt that that's going to get played out on camera this season. So you got to give us more with Johny and Chloe. You got to give me more to talk about. It really was interesting, though, when you look at Chloe's displays of immaturity versus Madeleine, right? And when Madeleine is telling her whole story, we know that Chloe has never wanted for anything. She has a supportive family who has been there for her financially and emotionally, versus Madeleine saying she was raised by her grandparents because her mom wasn't around a lot. Just looking at those two stories play out right next to each other made me have even less empathy for Chloe. And they really got to do something quick with her because it's going to become unwatchable by like next week. It was also very hard to watch this week. Greta saying goodbye to Hazel. Truly heartbreaking. It's really triggering, I'm sure, for a lot of you, and for myself, anyone who has lost a pet, truly, who's had a pet die, to watch her being so upset about giving the cat up. We were really hard on her last week. when you consider that she really rescued this aging cat and that it wouldn't be easy or healthy for Hazel to be moved to the UK. There are a lot of factors here. It's complicated. And when Greta was just being so upset, and I want to cry just talking about it, watching her, I'm going to give her the grace this week, because I think especially next week, we're going to have a lot of criticism for her again in her choice of a fiancé when we finally meet this clown who clearly does not care that she's there and has no intention of moving out of his parents' house. I think Greta's going to need some grace from us, so we will just give her that. But there's plenty of criticism for Manon all day, every day. There was a really cute moment when Manon and Anthony arrived at her parents' house. Did you guys catch they got a greeting from a little wiener dog who was barking his little face off, and production cut that, you couldn't hear him, but he was just chunky little monkey and he looked so like he was protecting his house. He was the guard dog. I just loved seeing him get carried up the steps still barking, because my little Chewini would have been doing the same thing if a camera crew came barging into his house. And I just hope that we get to see more of Manon's parents' dog. They talk about the actual hardships of living together. Manon and Anthony are very honest about that this is a small space. They're sharing a wall with her parents. And it really made me think about Sister Wives is the show that has made me realize how difficult it is for families to share a living space. Because I remember they talked a lot about when the Sister Wives all lived in one big house together, the problem was noise, of course, coming from other parts of the house, and sharing a kitchen seems to be something that is very, very difficult for people, which makes a lot of sense. And I know even in my life, myself and my mother-in-law share a kitchen when I go to the farm and stay with my husband where he's working there. And we work it out pretty well because neither one of us are trying to cook that much. But I can imagine that having not only the shared space, but having people in your business all the time is going to cause perhaps even more issues for Manon and Anthony than they have now. And needless to say, we have just learned a lot from the breakdown of the Brown family that we can apply here and to every other reality show, including Special Forces. Are you guys watching Cody on Special Forces? Do you think there will ever be a 90-day fiancé star on Special Forces? Ooh. Tell me in the comments who you would most like to see, but this isn't about that, so we will move on. Manon and Anthony's marriage does not seem what do they say in divorce documents? Is it irreparably broken? Their marriage does not seem that broken to me. Even when they are talking it out to each other, it seems like they have mutual respect. She is making sure to say, "You're a great father," and I love that. He clearly cares about them having a good marriage and is willing to consider her feelings and move forward in a certain way that works for her. I see some hope for the two of them, but her going on and on is just too much. They keep showing us the same conversations between the two of them, when Manon on social media has said she's talked about a lot more than that. She has talked about the sexual assaults that she endured right when she first got to America and right before she left France. It sounds like that was a big catalyst for her leaving. It sounds like she did something when that happened to her that is worth talking about. And so if the producers know about all these things that she has spilled to them, as she claims she has, we don't need to keep hearing her whine over and over again about her marriage. Let's open that whole situation up a little bit. Let's get to know them a little bit better, okay? Again, producers, you gotta give us just a little more. I know it's hard when the other way is just 1 hour long, and that is part of the problem, but I gotta save that second hour for Seeking Sister Wife, which is so good that it's totally okay with me. So next week on The Other Way, let's talk about it. Greta will arrive in the UK and she stinks, according to Matthew. So we're going to get more stereotypes about vegans, I'm sure. I'll have to get back up on my soapbox. I gave you all a break this week. But Matthew, surprisingly, he is not prepared for Greta's arrival and couldn't seem to care less. Manon, meanwhile, accuses her family of body shaming her in the past. And I think this could potentially alienate her new landlords. So she's got to be really careful when they're talking about the past with her parents whose house she lives in. That could get sticky. Johny and Chloe argue about his job entertaining young drunk girls in dental floss. according to Chloe. So this is a conversation that they definitely need to have, and I can't wait to be a fly on the wall for it. Jenny and Sumit will face the same old issues with his extended family. So there's a woman there. She is his mom's sister-in-law, but she responds in the same way that Sumit's mother has to Jenny and Sumit's relationship, and it just sounds like it's gonna kind of be more of the same over again. But perhaps we will start to understand his mom's response a little bit. And, never forget that she said that she would if they got married, and now she's all cool with it. So we got to meet more of these crazy family members, and I'm guessing we are going to be fully entertained by that. And then Luke and Madelein will fight more about him accusing her of stealing the money. So are we ever going to get to the bottom of it? Nickel and dime, the receipts, are we ever going to get that? Because did he send the money that he says he did, and did she spend it the way that she says she did? Probably neither of those things are true. So let's watch them talk in circles about it a little bit more. Cannot wait, and I will be back again next Tuesday breaking it all down for you with the latest news and cast updates. If you watch 90 Day Fiancé Unfiltered on YouTube, that's where you get all the receipts. I show you the screenshots, the pictures, the videos, so you have got to tune in. If you are a podcast listener, you can do that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. 90 Day Fiancé Unfiltered is now also on iHeartRadio, so check it out there. And you can follow 90 Day Fiancé Unfiltered at 90 Day Fiancé Pod on Instagram. I will have all the receipts there from every week and links as soon as new episodes go up. Any bonus episodes that I'm doing, you can find it all there. So let's grow our community. And of course, you can reach out to me anytime at Christy Reports also. And watch my other videos. Like I said, I just dropped one a few days ago with 7 memorable couples from before the 90 days. Darcey's first 2 relationships, everything that happened there. You will not believe what Jesse and Tom are doing now. One of them has a secret wife. One of them's got a baby. It's like, it blows my mind. Not only that, but Rachel and John, who you know from meeting on a karaoke app, their divorce has exploded on social media in the last many months. I have all the details there on that. And the photos of Liz's engagement. If you watch to the end of that video and talking about Rose and Ed, Liz is the one who really gets away with her happy ending and all of that. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on notification, then you will know as soon as any breaking news drops. I want you all to be in the know. That's why I do this, because I love it too. So thank you so very much for hanging out with me and watching. Please leave your thoughts below in the comments, and I will see you again very soon. Have a great week.